testimony.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Linda, would you like to go next? Oh, I'm sorry. You'll both get a chance, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, my name is Mark Heffner. I'm a certified elder law attorney, and my work involves basically dealing with middle-class people who find themselves confronted with a huge hole in the healthcare system involving long-term care, and they find that Medicare and insurance does not pay for nursing home and long-term care, and they're suddenly faced with dealing with a program totally foreign to them in the Medicaid process. And as was pointed out, also helping people deal with those 40, as Virginia Burke said, the 40-page DHS-2s and all the other bureaucratic materials that come with applying for Medicaid. It's in that perspective for 30 years, I offer you some perspective, and I also have had the privilege to serve in this body representing the people of the town of Barrington for 10 years. So I want to give you some perspective that I haven't heard given tonight on some specific aspects of Article 13 and 14, in which I would respectfully submit your opposition. And in 2009, this assembly did something extraordinary. It adopted the Global Waiver Program. But it prudently maintained the prerogative, as Ms. Haley's slides indicate, of Category 3 changes, which have to do with eligibility. And you did that wisely because eligibility changes have a profound and immediate effect on your constituents. And rather than having these things occur through rulemaking process, they would occur in this open, deliberative process. Director Bean began his testimony thanking you for your input, saying he considers it. I believe Director Bean. I believe there's goodwill at OHHS now. But the process they have for rulemaking is not this, and is not what I experienced in 10 years of the Judiciary Committee. I never had the time and energy to do what you're doing. And when people come to you and they testify and you consider those views, and then you hear from your constituents, and then you talk to colleagues, and it's all done in an open process. It's very messy, isn't it, this democracy? But it works. Contrast that to bureaucratic rulemaking. Bureaucratic rulemaking, if you've ever experienced it, is the agency putting out rules, asking for public comment. Public comment is not this. Public comment is submitting written views and having it go into the great black box and come out the other end, usually in the same form it came in. It's much like the Soviets, not the Soviets, I'm dating myself, the Russians have an election, but Putin always gets elected, it seems. So it's the same process. You wisely hung on to that process, because when one of your constituents comes to you having been profoundly affected by a change, you want to be able to have something to say about that. And what Article 14 and provisions of Article 13 would do would be to have you throw that away. There's no specificity in what they're doing. All they're saying is it's going to happen by rulemaking. You do not want to do that. I would submit to you that that would be the equivalent of legislative malpractice. And when your constituents come to you and they have been adversely affected, what are you going to tell them? It was for the sake of $500,000 of state money. Please don't do that. The original sin, of course, occurred in September of 2016 when, through amazing hubris, this administration decided that not only were they going to roll out a new computer program, but they were going to terminate experienced, dedicated workers. Director Bean and his staff, the legal staff at the Department of Human Services, I will give great credit to, and the dedicated caseworkers have been struggling with that mess since. This assembly set some parameters of 90 days for the processing of applications. We report to the department in order to let them know. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, 90 days isn't something, it's not even aspirational. Nothing happens in 90 days. At last report, we had one application of over 660 days, another of over 154 days, two of 240 days, two over 180 days, and it goes on. And that is an improvement. The governor's budget would have the agency take on additional regulatory burdens. I think Rep. Giarrusso was making this point when he was saying, how does this all affect their computer system? No matter how dedicated these people are, they're not trained programmers. They've got to get their act together, get their knitting straight before they take on other obligations. So I would urge you as a former colleague, you do not want to give away this prerogative to have this open dialogue, to have people like this lady come to you and let you consider these things, and to have this occur in a nameless, faceless bureaucrat. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Heffner, for that testimony. Very much. Linda Katz, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Linda Katz, Policy Director at the Economic Progress Institute. Pleasure to see you all again. I just want to mention that the Protect Our Healthcare Coalition, of which we are a co-facilitator, Karen Malcolm was here yesterday testifying on behalf of the coalition. The coalition submitted written testimony today in opposition to both the restructuring of the Unity program and the proposed elimination of retroactive coverage for seniors and people with disabilities. My testimony is going to be now on behalf of the Economic Progress Institute, and I have 2 points. First, we are opposed to the proposal to restructure the Unity program. I think you heard compelling reasons from Bill and from Allison about how the Unity program is working, the investments that have been made by Neighborhood Health Plan to try to improve care, respond to consumers' needs, address family needs, health needs in a holistic manner. And I'm here to say, can we please just stay the course? I've been doing this work for a long time. Many of you have been around the block on these issues.